Hello and welcome to Cinemondo with Kathy and Melanie. Melanie from Pardesi Reviews. You can see her on YouTube too. Fantastic channel. Definitely check it. So Melanie has been advising me in a lot of my Indian films to watch because I want to know the best ones, the most iconic ones, because I'm just shooting in the dark. Otherwise, I'm just like, So she said, you got to watch Gully Boy. And I've heard a lot about Gully Boy and been wanting to watch it. A lot of people that have some Indian film reaction channels all talk about Gully Boy as being one of their first movies. And so
Really?
I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, let's check this out. So I'm like, I've never heard, I hadn't watched it. I've been kind of waiting for it, but we just did that trailer reaction for Ranveer Singh's other movie, Rocky and Ronnie's Love Story. And that also stars Alia Bhatt. So I thought this is perfect timing, a good little partnership. We check out Gully Boy finally because I really like him. I think he's been great. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So this was a surprise because I was expecting something a little more like I was telling you, like maybe a little more small village or something. But turns out very urban, very modern. Like I thought that was fascinating. Apparently, it was shot in the same area they shot Slumdog Millionaire. Like
really?
The same slums.
That I did not know.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, maybe that's a rumor. I don't know. I heard that somewhere. But
I shared with Kathy after she watched the film. I shared her the music video that Divine and the other guy's name. I'm blanking.
And this was directed.
The real rappers that this story it was inspired by, and so this is Reema Kagti and Zoya Akhtar. We talked on my channel. We talked about their film Dil De Dakne Do, which also had Ranveer in it.
Yeah,
it couldn't be more different film. Right? I mean, that was a very glossy family drama set on a cruise ship. And this, as you said, it's set in the slums. It's set in, a very urban setting and very much talking about the divide between the haves and the have-nots. Because at one point, Ranveer's father in this film is a driver for a wealthy family. And when he gets injured, it's never clear. I don't remember if it was a car accident or what happened. But anyway, at one point, Ranveer has to take over his father's job as a driver, and he really gets to see the difference in how the other half lives, which maybe he hadn't fully seen that before that point. But anyway, he's going to college, and Alia Bhatt plays his childhood sweetheart. I loved their intro scene in the bus. So you think it's a meet cute that their eyes are meeting and that they're kind of flirting with their eyes. And then you realize she just waits for a person to get off the bus. And then she goes, sits with him, and the poster, iconic poster, they're sharing headphones to listen to music together. So yes. Right. And so frequently she is shown in a traditional headscarf. The other radical thing is that this is a movie about, Muslim characters. That's not always the case.
That's right.
And I absolutely love Alia's character in this film because she is so feisty.
Oh my God. Feisty almost to a fault because she was beating people up.
Like to hitting people over the head with beer bottles.
Yes. Not cool, dude. Not cool.
But she's a medical student and
she's smart.
She's living under very restrictive parental control. And so when she has to hide her relationship with Ranveer's character, and she's dealing with the pressure of her parents wanting her to get married to somebody else. And, so my husband actually kind of walked in and out while I was watching it. And he's like, why is she looking different? Why is she wearing that scarf now? Like because he wasn't seeing it from the beginning, because he saw her in the final triumphant contest when Ranveer's doing his rap in that club. And so she has lipstick on and she doesn't have the headscarf on, and then later we see her, the end credits, there's the story continues during the end credits.
Yes.
And you see her again in the headscarf, and he's like, why does she look so different? And so I was having to kind of explain to him, that's part of her character.
Exactly.
That's who she really is. She wants to just have the lipstick on and do all of that, but she's living under her parents' roof, and that's what she's restricted with.
I liked her conversation with her mom where she was saying, I just want to go out. Like, you guys don't let me do anything. I go to school, where I come back. Like she's so protected, like just overly.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I just want to be a person, get out there. And I think he was sort of inspiring that a little bit, because he was kind of starting to go out and, discover himself as an artist. And that was another thing too. Like, I was an artist in the family, didn't have artists. And you feel a little bit like on the outside, people don't quite understand you. They don't understand the idea of using art as like a career or pursuing it higher, even though they kind of get it. They don't understand the artistic temperament. So I really loved how they painted him as like, his family's like, you're going to get this job and you're going to go to college, you're going to do this. And he's kind of in the back of his mind now, okay. And then deep down, he's like, it's not what I'm like burning up to do. Like he just really,
it's so killing for him.
I loved it, because everything he did, and I loved how they had that, like when you were talking about, he was driving the car with the rich woman in it, and in his mind he's kind of writing lyrics about the moment, like how separate they are. And so everything he does, and this another rapper had told him to do, like, write about what you see, what you're living, just write it, And so I love that he's walking down the street looking, and he's enveloping himself in this art, in an artistic way, channeling everything he thought he didn't have. And he's like, wow, I do have stuff to write about. Like, I thought that was really, really beautiful moment actually for him. I thought that was really nice. But
yeah, I mean, it's really showing that gulf. Yeah. He's just in the front seat. The woman he's driving is in the back seat. She's crying.
She didn't even talk to him.
And he can't even feel like he can ask her what's wrong or what happened. Like and so that's what he's writing about in the song, of how like this enormous gulf between them and their lives. I mean, he's seeing that being a rich person doesn't mean you don't have any problems. I mean, he's seeing that too, but it's not anything like the survival issues that he has. Like literally. I remember being a little bit confused the first time I watched this. I mean, it's a Muslim family, so you can have, his father takes a second wife, and that upends everything in the household. And then there's the fact that he's in his own home. He might not have a shirt on, and that his father has this young wife who's noticing him on YouTube, and all of this tension. He's seeing his mother's pain of what she's going through, literally kicked out to have to sleep on the kitchen floor, kicked out of the bedroom.
So bad.
And so he wants to make a better life for his mother as well. And his father is telling him, I'm a servant. You cannot look up. You have to look down.
Right.
You cannot dream. And he has to fight his father, like, I'm not going to be limited by you. Did you ever think you could be wrong in the way that your worldview?
That's right.
So I love that it wasn't just this story about the rise of him as a musician, but it just had all of these layers.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful shots, I think, is when he's cinematography. He's waiting in the car, the fancy Mercedes or whatever it is. And I think it was New Year's Eve or something, and he's driven the family to a club or a party or something. And he's waiting outside, and all of the festive lights strings are reflected in the shiny black of the car that he's sitting in. It's just gorgeous shot. So J.O.'s as the cinematographer.
So good.
I mean, and just there's so many iconic scenes. Like we get the setting that he lives in this slum, and literally a tour guide comes through with a group of white people. Yeah. I think from London.
I love this scene.
The grandmother demands 500 rupees for them to be able to walk through the house and take pictures of where they live. And he's sitting on his bed and notices one of the white tourists has a Nas t-shirt on. Yeah. And the guy's trying to explain, oh, well, this is this rapper in America, like trying to explain.
Yeah. And then, like, oh, you probably don't know this.
quotes a whole stanza.
Yeah, he does the whole rap, and the guy's like,
The
"Whoa!"
whole thing.
He does
The
it very
whole-
casually. He's like, "Yeah, I know who." He just starts saying it. It's like, "Wow, that was so cool." It was a
So
really cool
Nash
scene.
was actually an executive producer of the film.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's a key plot point in that it's a contest to be
Yeah.
able to be his opening act when he's appearing in Mumbai is the whole thing that really spurs Ranveer's character to really put himself out there and try to win the contest and have to make that choice. You know, the classic,
Yeah.
he's standing there in the office and I've got to go, you know.
I know, 'cause he's like, and he knew like that choice of like, you can either audition for this thing or stay here and have this stable job that you hate.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there like, I'm making and they're all like, good job, you stayed. And he's thinking, nah, I'm going, bye. And he just knew he lost the job.
And then he has to do the contest in the white office shirt, right?
The horrible shirt, I know. And he puts on the hoodie. That was so funny. So good.
But I love, in addition, there's he has this childhood friend who's a drug dealer and steals cars and who sacrifices himself for Ranveer's character to be able to, you know, go on and do this audition. You know, sort of like, I knew this was going to happen to me, that I would be arrested at some point. I want you to make it and get out, you know?
Exactly.
And
yeah, cool.
so this was really, you know, it won 13 Filmfare Awards.
Wow.
It was one of I think it was only the 6th film in history to win all the top 4: Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress. The guy that played MC Sher, who was Ranveer's rapper mentor, that's Siddhant Chaturvedi. I mean, you know, just this cast, amazing. So it won, you know, just swept the Filmfare Awards.
Wow.
It was the selection for Oscar submission that year. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember there was another film that came out that year that I thought would have been more, I think it was a Malayalam film that I was thinking would have been more, you know, the kind of people that vote for foreign film would have been a better choice, but whatever. You know,
whatever. I also love so it's the classic, like, you know, rising up from nothing to be a star, right? With this kind of a Star is Born kind of feel to it in a way. So I love how he does he proves himself to, you said, his mentor, who then helps him out they decide to do a video together, which is spectacular based on the video that you were talking about, which is an amazing scene in the movie. I loved it. It's fantastic. And then when you compare the two videos, very similar, definitely inspired by each other. Simply.
Right.
So I love that he also had another video he did by himself where he kind of got some recognition and everybody's like, wow, you got all these views. And then they do another one. He's just starting to go up and up. They get the attention of a record producer, beautiful woman who's super rock and roll, cool, kind of Chrissy Hines, which I loved her. Oh my gosh, she was so great. Sky. Her name was Sky. Oh, so good.
Did you recognize the actress?
I did recognize her. Where did I see her before? Kalki?
Dev D.
Dev D. Oh my God, you're right. She's the cam girl before you. Okay. Oh my gosh.
She's the sex worker.
Maybe that's why I loved her so much. So when I saw him with her, I'm like, because, you know, I love Alia Bhatt and they were so cute, but this girl's next level. I mean, it was like, dude, she does what you do. She's got the shit going on. And then it felt like Alia Bhatt was such a drag on him in a way, you know. I know I should be rooting for her, but
like she was the one person in his life, though, who knew
him when he was nothing,
and who he didn't have to explain his life to her, and also she was always supportive, because when he said, you know, I got my exams, and she was every time Alia Bhatt didn't say, no, you should make sure you know, get your degree. She'd always like, you should do it. You should follow your passion.
Yeah. So she's like, you follow your passion. I'm going to be a surgeon.
Always supportive. And then she was also a little crazy, but
she was a little crazy. She was hitting people and beating people up. And that was kind of her history. And everybody knew she was crazy, but he kind of loved that about her, which was also very cute. But but I love the scene where he and that woman are recording a song together. And it felt the chemistry was insane during that scene. Like they were just like, oh, come on. So they finally, like, she makes a move. And even before that, they slept together in the car, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think he was kind of like, whoa, I went too far. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it was such an intoxicating moment, with her, like she's going to help him and they're running around spray painting everything. And it was just a super rock and roll punk rock moment. It was like, he was like, I'm in it. I'm doing what I want to do. But when they have this nice quiet moment where they're doing a song together, she tries to kiss him and he's kind of like, no, I can't. Safina she's like, what do you say?
Well, yeah.
She's his childhood.
Well,
like
Safina also gave him the iPad. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She claimed to her father that she left it on a bus or something. And so she convinces her father to buy her a new one. And that's how he's able to record and to be able to do the beats and to be able to work on his rap songs, is because he had the iPad, which otherwise there's no way that he ever could have afforded that. So, Safina did do a lot for him. But yeah, I mean, turbulent relationship.
My God. Turbulent. And then this guy was just super cool. I mean, she felt like someone who wasn't built to last, though, but it felt like it would be a great ride. Have fun with that. I also really liked his mentor. What was his name?
MC Cher was the name of the character. And Cher meaning lion. And I loved how, Ranveer's like trying to hand him these notebook pages, like, I wrote the song, maybe you would want to use it. And he's like, no, do it yourself.
Because I write my own
for you.
Thoughts. Yeah.
And just kind of forces him to try. And it was
was great.
I mean, he was so great. I loved his character.
I love his character.
And that actor has gone on to star opposite, Deepika in the movie that came out during the pandemic. So he's going on to better things. He won Filmfare for supporting actor and I think best debut. So that was, but the soundtrack. Yeah, you just have to realize my husband just laughs at me because he's just like, my husband has been into rap and hip hop for a long time. And I always kind of, I don't know, turned up my nose. It just wasn't my thing. Right.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, oh, sure. It's only if it's
now you like it.
Or Korean that you're willing to listen to rap. Okay.
That's hilarious. I know, it's so funny. Yeah. The songs were great in this.
The songs are epic, and the soundtrack. There was 18 songs to the soundtrack. I just listened to the soundtrack when this movie came out. I listened to it on repeat. I can't even tell you, just over and over and over again. And then there was South Asian Film Festival in Chicago. The end credit song, the train song, is one of the best songs from the soundtrack, and that's Karsh Kale. Collaborating with, he's from New York, collaborating with some Indian artists. And he came to the South Asian Film Festival and there was a documentary about him. And he talked about how he had this amazing song and he basically waited. This was the moment for this film, but he was he did the score for the film. But there was, they had artists from England, from all over, all of these rappers who rap in Hindi. And I just had no clue before this movie came out that there was even this whole
I neither. I guess it's everywhere.
Rap scene there. So they really pulled in all of these amazing artists to be on the soundtrack. And I think a lot of those rap battles, those contest scenes, we're seeing the real people.
That's very cool.
In this music scene. Appearing as themselves. So, I just thought that I just love this soundtrack. Almost every song is just amazing.
Good. But I know, even if you don't like rap, they just make it work in this. Like, you're just like, it's gorgeous stuff. I also, one of the things I thought was interesting too, because it could be a very trite cliche story to have the, rise to riches or whatever, which it really wasn't. I love that his mentor, which this is how it usually works. Mentor helps him out. You start eclipsing your mentor. He gets mad, jealous, and it becomes this big fracture. I love that they have a couple moments in this where he goes to see his mentor at his home. Yeah. And it's awful. Like his dad's yelling at him the whole time and demeaning him. And like, he's just like, he was thinking, this guy's got it all. He's so confident and got it going on. I think he really expected this like sort of ideal family life, and it was really sad. And he was kind of like, whoa, he struggles like me. Like, this is like, so I love that they kind of brought him down to earth a little bit. And then I also love like where they're doing the competition and he wins. and the mentor doesn't win, and he's staying, you know, and you see his face kind of flicker for a second, and then he goes over and he goes, yeah, like he's super happy for him. And I'm like,
So
this is
happy.
really cool. Like, I thought that was a really nice thing that they didn't have him all of a sudden go and walk
in
away
that
mad.
final concert scene, you see he's there in the crowd cheering him on.
Yes. Oh, just get goosebumps.
I know, I
It was
love that
so
too.
sweet. So I love that. Love it.
Yes.
So you think you're going somewhere with it, and it'll take you somewhere new, and that's what I really liked about it, because we were seeing a familiar story done in a whole new way, and just really, really beautiful story, great characters. Like, I just love the whole dynamic of the rap gang, and then him going there, and then trying to compete with the corporate expectations of his family, and just trying to break out as the artist. Like, it was just, and you know, being an artist is high risk. You know, it's like, every time you put out a song, it isn't going to be a hit. You could lose your whole career in one song, you know, but he's like on his rise. He's, you know, you have a good feeling he's going to make it. He's determined. So great stuff.
And I really like the end credit, how it ends. The film essentially ends on the peak of him appearing on this huge concert stage. But then I loved how you see he goes back to the neighborhood. He reconciles with his grandmother, gives her money. And just like, she finally sort of gets it because his picture is in the newspaper. And you get to see all the little kids and whatever that were in that video with him. Everybody in the neighborhood is so proud one of her own made it, right? And he gets tears in his eyes seeing these little kids trying to act like him, right?
So
that he
cute.
is their hero. I just love that whole montage of everything that happens in the end credit. I thought it's amazing. It's a really strong film.
Yeah, and he signifies hope. Like, you don't have to be what you're born into be. Like, you can have big dreams. You don't have to, you know, stay down and look down like the father says. You don't have to do that. And I love that message. It sounds trite, but it's so beautiful and great. And I think if I had to recommend someone who had not seen Indian movies besides RRR, I think this would be my next one, because super relatable, very, very, you know, commercial and easy to relate to, very urban, very modern. The music is fantastic. Like, this is another great entryway for anyone who hasn't seen a lot of Indian films, because it's really compelling and you're just so fascinated by everything about it. It feels really new, and just loved it.
Yeah. And also just, I think really strong performances all around.
Yeah.
Including the supporting actors, very strong performances by everyone, amazing soundtrack. And I mean, it's a relatable story that it's recognizable to us from the West, right? Like, we've seen these kind of rise from nothing music, you know, or acting stories, you know, like you say, about an artist, about a creative person. And I loved all the layers. Like, even in, you know, he had the one friend who sacrificed for him and was in jail, and was like, when you make it, then you'll bail me out. I mean, I now know, like, when the first time I watched, I may not have realized, but that meant he was being beaten up by the police in the jail for his friend. Like, he wasn't just sitting there in a jail cell. He was being beaten up and resisting ratting out his friend who had this brighter future. Like, so he was resisting torture, that meant. And you see in the end credit scene that all of those little kids that he had made being in the drug business, Ranveer's character then was making sure that he's gone back to the neighborhood. He's making sure that they have something to eat. Like, he hasn't forgotten his roots. He hasn't forgotten, you know, what his friend in jail entrusted him with, you know? So
I like that too, because I guess Vijay Vikram is the actor who plays the friend, right? Moeen, or I think it was his name.
Yeah.
I like him because he's like the bad influence, right? He's like the one who's, you know, he's taken a different road.
Yeah.
Right. But he also was very compelling and likable. Like, you liked him. You were hoping he would be so destructive, and you felt right. And so I like that, but he was always there. Like, when Marud, I was gonna say Murad, and he would come to him, like, and go, oh, I guess I need a hand, you know, give me something to do, you know, and he knew it was probably a criminal act. He wasn't sure. And it's like, but I like that he had his limit, like, don't include kids in your business. But the guy would always give him a chance. He'd always give him something to do, just get him on his feet again. Like he never really judged him. He didn't take the judgment. You know, he knew that he had a line about like just don't involve the kids, which was his thing. You know,
right.
But they were a cool, loyal friendship, even though they were really different, which was a very compelling relationship. I really liked it. I liked him.
That was the one person he could count on to help him, because his uncle, the one that does give him the job, like, hey, your sister just got kicked out by her husband. You're not going to take her into your home? Like, come on, right? Yeah. I mean,
it was, and that the families were just terrible. Oh my gosh, so terrible. So that was, so I really liked that, because they were finding their camaraderie in their family. It wasn't with their families. It was with people who were supporting their ideas and not judging them. And that was all the people. Yeah. So really, really, really well done. I highly recommend this movie.
And I can't judge enough to know some of the songs, I know Ranveer's voice enough to know that he was actually doing the raps. Okay. Like, it wasn't, I don't think he was just mouthing it.
Oh, okay.
So those that are really into it, I can't judge. I thought, Apna Time I for instance, I thought he did amazing. Right. So, but I think he really worked hard on this role to try to be authentic.
Yeah.
And, we've seen him as a rich boy in Dil Dhadak De Do. You haven't seen all of his wide career, but this is I feel like this is a really good performance by him too. Like,
really good.
Really feel like, okay, he's this young kid, who really doesn't know the outside world. Like when he meets the Sky Girl, he's like, there's a whole school just for music,
what? I know. And she's all like,
it blows his mind.
And to see a girl who does that, like, he's like, what? Like, he goes, you're a woman? Like, they were expecting this like, music executive, and they're like, what? I love that too. Just she defied all the expectations. She was a really cool chick. I liked her. She didn't deserve to have a bottle in her head.
No, she did not deserve a bottle. She did not deserve a bottle.
She did not deserve that. But she was chill about it. She kind of got it. She's like, oh,
very chill. Very chill. Yeah.
Could easily have sent her to jail if she wanted to. That was a really good scene. But yeah, really gritty and cool, and felt very authentic. And I bought it. Hook, line, sinker.
Yeah. Done. I think Ranveer and Alia do have really good chemistry together, and I'm looking forward to seeing them and Rocky or Rani. They're upcoming.
Very different.
Coming out at the end of this month, and it couldn't be more different from this.
The opposite of authentic. This is like spectacle.
But you got to see their performance. They're good acting in this film, but you didn't get to really see Ranveer and Alia dance at all. And I know we're going to get to see that in Rocky Rani, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
I'm very excited to see that.
Both of them are really good dancers, and I cannot wait for those big numbers.
He's so good. So I have a couple posters. We saw this one already.
Yeah.
I think
I love this poster so much.
So good. And I like that they're just really comfortable. Like, she sits down, they just kind of do it. They go, listen to music. There's no big thing about it. Like, let me have it. They just sit down, like they do it every day.
And you can tell it's like, this is what we do every day, right? Yeah. We get on the bus and we listen to music.
Comfortable with each other, just that's just very ingrained in their lives. And then there's this sort of star cell, him looking cool with his hoodie on. Yeah. He doesn't look like a tough guy, really. He looks like, that's what I liked about him. He's like a young sweet boy.
But then we have a little intensity,
yeah, there's some and then I love this, just not showing anybody, just the back of his head looking out. That's really great. Looking at,
probably people from Mumbai would have a sense of place, I guess, of what. It doesn't carry that to me, but it's like, this is not a rural setting. This is an urban movie.
Yes,
this poster is showing us.
That's right. And then we have the little sun, like that little beacon of hope. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't just going to be this, tiny bit. So just some little gritty posters for Gully Boy, but it mostly is like I said, it's a rise to stardom and love and all those great things, but in a kind of unique setting that you probably haven't seen a lot of. So I really like that.
Right. And I also really love that this was woman team directed.
Yes.
I think even in America, you wouldn't necessarily immediately think of a woman director doing rap. movie, right? So that would be notable in America as well. So
That's right.
Kudos to Reema and Zoya, because
Yeah.
I think you're amazing. I think you're an amazing team. And you just produce, each film is so different, and really vibrant characters. And yeah, I mean, and you did the people that you assembled for the soundtrack also, because I know they put a lot of, I mean, you don't normally have a soundtrack with 18 songs. I think they wanted to include so many different artists. Yeah. And I mean, normally maybe a soundtrack is, I don't know, 7 or 8 songs that like would be a big one, right? So it's amazing the music that they put together too, because they really introduced this music. I know they did to me. Like, I had no idea of this scene, and I like I said, I was listening to this soundtrack on repeat back in 2019 over and over again.
That's so funny. And Zoya has the Archies coming out soon. Looks like a lot of music in that one too.
And again, something extremely different.
And I give her, like we talked about before, we give her kudos. This movie could easily have been male dominated, because it was about his rise, and all the rappers were mostly 90% men. But the women did not disappear in this movie. They were very prominent. The female characters were very well rounded, and they mattered. So I like that they didn't just recede, because the story's about him, but they let the women come forward in this too, and they were both really strong women. So I really appreciate that. And that's that female director thing. She's not going to let them just disappear. So good job. All right. Let us know what you think in the comments about this movie. What was your favorite song? What was your favorite moment? And be sure and visit Melanie's channel at Pardesi Reviews.
Right.
I'll catch you guys later. Bye.